Whether you like it or not, and frankly I don't, but Pierre Poilievre is well on his way to being the next Prime Minister of Canada. It's going to take a turnaround of historic proportions or a scandal like we've never heard of before to make any difference to the 2025 federal election results. So it doesn't matter if you would rather support Justin Trudeau or Jagmeet Singh or anybody else. The reality of it is Poilievre is running away with it comfortably. So if we want to have any impact at all on the results of the election and who's going to be leading our country, we've got to sit down and look at exactly who Poilievre is, what he's doing, and how it's going to impact us. The cornerstone of any free democracy is always information. A knowledgeable electorate is the greatest defense of freedom. And really, that's what this channel and this video is all about. So I've prepared a two-part series. Part one, that's this part here, is about who is Pierre Poilievre. His background, he's risen meteorically within the Conservative Party to the top. Where did he come from? How did he get there? What are his basic beliefs? We'll look at a couple of scandals. Yeah, he's had a few. And just a good round picture of the kind of person that he is. Then we're going to move on to part two, and the second video, which should be out in about a week or so, examines in some depth his policies, his likely platform, what we can really expect from him, and how good or bad it's going to be. That'll be far more opinionated. So let's start off by looking at where we are right now and how the Canadian public sees their political choices. Justin Trudeau is serving his third term as Prime Minister. He was first elected in 2015. And in the past year, 2 years, his popularity and his approval rating have plunged to record lows. And as his approval rating has dropped down, Pierre Poilievre's has increased significantly. The Liberals have gone out and lost a number of by-elections in Liberal strongholds, ridings that had elected Liberals for decades, and that should have been no problem at all. They lost those seats in by-elections. Plus, their coalition partners, the NDP and others, are not backing them anymore. So Justin Trudeau is in a very precarious situation. The public's against him, the other parties are against him, and an election is looming. It has to be called by the latest in October 2025. Now, the public opinion polls, they'll give you a good picture of what's going on and just exactly where we're at. As you can see here, the Conservatives have almost 43% of the projected support compared to the Liberals at about half at 21.8%. The NDP down just under 20, and then the Bloc Québécois and the Green Party below that. So, that's pretty significant as a change. And this isn't just one poll. This is an average of all the polls taken on a regular basis across the country. Next, we're going to come to looking at the polls across regions of Canada. The Conservative Party's lead is not just in one region, but is through British Columbia, Alberta, Western Canada, Ontario, Quebec, Atlantic Canada. In all those areas, if you look at it, they have a significant lead. It's not a matter of one region against another. I mean, the only one where they're not in first place is in Quebec, where they're in a good second place, but the Bloc Québécois is ahead of them. Now, this has been developing for a while. Here's the trend of where the popularity, how the polls have read things over time. And the blue line at the top is the Conservative Party, and the red line underneath it is the Liberal Party. You'll notice that as recently as May 2023, they were pretty close. You had about 33% to 31%. So, and even that year earlier, the Liberals were actually up. But since that time, in May 2023, things have changed significantly if you look at it. Conservatives have gone right up, Liberals right down, and the NDP has stayed about the same. So yes, barring some kind of fiasco or complete collapse, Pierre Poilievre is going to be the next Prime Minister of Canada. And all indications are he's going to have a very large majority, meaning that he can pass a lot of legislation without opposition. So it really is incumbent on all Canadians to start considering who this man is and what that might mean to us. Well, love him or hate him, one thing that Canadians can agree on is that Pierre Poilievre is a lifelong career politician. He's never held any significant employment outside of the political sphere, and yeah, he started pretty young. Through high school and university, he was often in the news, primarily as a leader or the spokesman for various right-wing political groups, in supporting politicians, including Preston Manning and the Reform Party, the Canadian Alliance, and several different young conservative clubs. He bills himself as a libertarian, which he's not, and builds most of his comments and speeches around the word freedom and a strong defense of the capitalist economic system. He idolizes and holds American free market economist Milton Friedman in very high esteem. So it's not really surprising that back in 1999, when Frank Stronach, through his auto parts giant Magna Corporation, sponsored an essay writing contest for students on the theme of "As Prime Minister, I Would." And 20-year-old Pierre Poilievre submitted an entry entitled "Building Canada Through Freedom," focusing on the subject of individual freedom and, amongst other things, arguing for a 2-term limit for all members of Parliament. Funny, he doesn't seem to believe that at all now that he's been elected 7 times to Parliament. Anyway, lo and behold, out of the 500 entries, he was selected a finalist, winning $10,000 plus an additional $12,000 internship at Magna. It's pretty clear that he's always known what he wants to be, and he's actively pursued that goal for his entire life. Now, here through the magic of the Internet Archive is that essay. And ever since those days, he's very carefully managed his image and his reputation while working hard to fulfill his goals and ambitions. But there's a lot of disagreement about the kind of person that Poilievre actually is. Critics claim that he's controlling, self-serving, manipulative, a person who will just say or agree to anything, even if they have no intention of ever doing so, as long as it gets him what he wants or where he wants to be. The word pandering is often used to describe him. He's been involved in a few controversies, specifically on his stand on women's reproductive rights. There were some misogynist aspects on his website that he later withdrew, removed, and apologized for. And there have been some comments he's made that some perceived as racist or anti-native. Now, despite all that, his popularity with Canadians is unquestionable. He's hit a chord and has an awful lot of support out there. So that's my overview of Pierre Poilievre. Now, in the next week or so, I'm going to release the second video in this series, and that one's going to be far more critical and opinionated, because we're going to take the time to examine his policies, his actions, the platforms, his proposals, and what will it really mean to Canadians, and is it what they actually want? So I want to thank everybody out there for watching. The support I get is really phenomenal. What I will ask you to do is, if you enjoyed this video, please like the video. Leave comments. It's really important that I get feedback from you, and subscribe to the channel. You just keep doing that, and I'll keep making videos, and we're going to get through this. Thanks an awful lot, and please have a wonderful week.